back. Tonight's big story is night 2 on Portland's meth crisis. And when you all emailed us about this, we decided to really dig in. We went out onto the streets in downtown Portland to talk to the people who know the meth situation the best. Those are the people who used it for years. And last night, you might have seen, we introduced you to 3 men, Kenneth, Nick, and Eddie. All 3, we want to note, are housed right now. They are all sober and they are all working cleaning the streets of downtown with the nonprofit Central City Concern. But for years, all 3 were living on Portland streets addicted to meth. Particularly, at least for some, a new version of meth, or at least newly popular. It's called P2P meth, and The Atlantic wrote this piece about it. Experts say it's more lethal and it causes extreme psychosis almost immediately. And perhaps more importantly for you at home, experts also say this quote-unquote new meth is absolutely here, wreaking havoc in Portland. And it has been here, they say, for nearly a decade. And a note, this piece was written by KGW producer Ashley Koch. We're hearing about Portland's meth crisis from the people who experience it firsthand.
Downtown is a smorgasbord of drugs.
Kenneth, Eddie, and Nick each spent time living in tents on Portland streets and getting high on meth.
I started at 9 years old.
For me, I felt like I needed meth to survive, and it just made everything easier, made life easier for me. And looking back at it now, it just made everything worse, way worse.
They've seen what it does to other people.
We see people arguing with nobody, wanting to fight with nobody on the street right there. But that person's really there to them.
And they've felt what it does to themselves.
February 27th at 9:07 a.m., I was shot in the chest and left for dead. And, that's where drugs led me.
Rodney!
Each of the men we talked to has seen a different version of meth gain momentum.
It was extremely stronger. It was more potent. Like a $20 bag would last you 4 or 5 days. Today, a $20 bag will last you 4 to 10 minutes.
It's cheaper, it's more potent, and it's easy to find.
How easy is it to get a hold of?
Oh, super easy. You can get it almost on any block. I mean, seriously.
Former Lincoln County District Attorney Rob Bovitt agrees.
What we're seeing on the streets of Portland and around Oregon, and quite frankly around the nation, is super pure, super potent, super cheap, and plentiful meth everywhere.
This isn't your garage meth lab with drugs cooked from Sudafed. Lawmakers actually spent years cracking down on that and made it harder to get.
Most of the meth has always come from the drug trafficking organizations. In the 90s and the early 2000s, they were largely cooking it in super labs in Central California and in Mexico. Now they're producing it all almost exclusively in Mexico using the older P2P process.
So drug traffickers adapted, switching from using pseudoephedrine to using industrial chemicals on an industrial scale process. They refined an old method called P2P meth that had been popular with biker gangs in the past.
It's really not new meth. It's old meth.
The precursors, or the ingredients to this kind of meth, are easy for drug traffickers to get.
They are industrial chemicals made in bulk and sold either on the licit or illicit market to the drug trafficking organizations that then do the super labs and produce the mass quantities of pure meth.
The meth they make is easy to bring into the U.S. It's flooded the streets in Portland, the rest of Oregon, and the rest of the country.
How easy are drugs to get in Portland?
Extremely easy.
The P2P method produces meth that is very strong. So strong it makes the user paranoid, sometimes even violent, something Eddie Breedwell has experienced for himself.
It had me hearing people talking that wasn't even talking, but I could hear them in my head, and they were all cops. I sat in the park for 3 hours, afraid to move off a park bench, because I thought as soon as I got up and started walking, that they were going to get me.
What would have happened if someone had approached you at that moment?
I would have probably freaked out and probably got violent.
The other men say they've seen people high on meth acting the same way.
We get a lot of people thinking that you're talking to them and you're not talking to them, but they get violent about it. It's more addictive. It's causing more paranoia.
Based on their observations, they estimate the majority of people on Portland streets are indeed using meth.
If I were to guess, I'd probably say almost everybody. And it's really sad to say that, but it's true.
It's cold. You know, you don't know where your next dollar's coming from. And, you know, the drug world's big. It's easy to get high.
Kenneth, a gun violence survivor, believes meth is also playing a big part in the violence in Portland.
Gunshots are going off down here left and right. You know, there's areas that we don't even go to because it's too dangerous.
And it's burdening healthcare systems.
The folks that are getting addicted, folks that are going into or need to go into treatment, folks that are suffering from meth psychosis and other behavioral health issues driven by meth addiction. We're seeing spikes in the state hospital. We're seeing all of these side effects play out on the street and in our systems as a result of really super potent, super pure meth everywhere.
These three men were able to get out of the drug world, and they want other users to know it's possible for them too.
The one thing that I see a lot of is judgment. You know, just what I do out here is when I see somebody in distress, somebody that's having a hard time with being, you know, addicted to drugs, being homeless, I tell them my story. I let them know, hey, you know, I was just like you, February 27th, I was just like you. You know, I was right where you were. And, you know, I got shot and I made a choice to make a phone call and get a job.
But in the bigger picture, for the meth problem,
my real concerns are that this is probably going to get worse before it gets better.
Our thanks again on night 2 to Central City Concern, and again to Kenneth, Nick, and Eddie for being so open. And by the way, tomorrow we're going to wrap up coverage of Portland's meth crisis with thoughts from our interviewees with their lived experience as to what the city should do to actually address this issue and help people suffering from addiction on Portland streets.